welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I am Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing the final episode for the Ultimatum South Africa. So before we hop into that, I do want to just do the rundown, make sure everyone knows what's kind of coming up next. So kind of what we've been kind of doing is focusing on one show on Netflix and then kind of doing kind of little snippets along the way with another show, which was in this case Perfect Match. Now that this is going to be finally kind of ending off here, we can kind of put Perfect Match in its place. We did already release, or I did already release episodes 1, 2, 3 in one episode already. So now with this done, we can get back to Perfect Match, focus on that. But I do have another show that I am gonna kind of backburn a little, not really backburn, I don't want to say backburn because I'm not the right term, but I'm gonna kind of be sprinkling it in where I can, especially because we do have other shows coming up soon too. I don't know how much I'll be able to get done with that. But there is a show, I'm not 100% sure if we're going to be covering it. Hoping that I can, if it kind of has that same kind of element to it, in the same way that like Selling Sunset, Selling OC kind of does. But there is a show currently, I can't remember the name of the show right now. I want to say Selling Millions, but I can't recall if that's the right name. It is a Netflix show, and it is involving one of my favorite people who are on $1 Million Listing in New York, and that was Ryan. So as soon as I saw Ryan, I'm like, oh, Ryan! Like, I was very excited. So he kind of seems like Ryan is kind of taking that similar role of, Brett and Jason. So we'll see. I haven't started it yet. So we're going to kind of do that. And then maybe once I finish that, I can kind of take a look at Selling London and seeing if that's any good. Cause I kind of haven't watched those episodes either. So we'll kind of see. I have not forgotten about London. I do want to see what it's about. See if it's something I can kind of talk about a little bit, but that is kind of where I'm at with that. So we're finally tabling this to put Perfect Match in its place, and we'll do that. But without any further ado, we're not going to do much else, no other hot goss or anything like that like we do with the Netflix binges. Let's just get right into it. So we're doing the reunion, the final episode 10. So let's get into it. So everyone looks great. We only have, I can't remember her name, the wife of the host's house is not there. So it's just her. He's going to be there, but it's been a year since they've done this experiment. And yeah. And guess what, guys? Lebo and Nola are here. So we're going to be getting a little bit of insight with them soon enough. But let's start with Ruth and Isaac first. So Ruth says she has no regrets for any of the decisions that she's made, I guess in particular with Nola. So she's good. Isaac was hoping to fix things and, get back to where they could be or even better. And unfortunately just wasn't able to do that. Isaac also says that Lebo would have been the better match for him. He's like, I wish I didn't reject her after all, but hindsight's 2020, so what can you do, right? But he doesn't give this kind of like talk about the experience that you had with Kenya. There's not much I can really say about this, but we do find out that he can cook for himself now, so it's good. It's great. Kind of the only other things here that we really need to talk about is Ruth is in a relationship with someone now. It is not Isaac. That Isaac is talking to someone. It's nothing really too serious, but he is talking to someone, and we'll see kind of how that goes. But let's move on to Nola and Lebo. This fucking asshole said that he is a one-woman man. That's what he said. And I'm like, really, sir? Because you're over here, as we kind of find out from her, before this experience even really happened, that you're a flirt. You went and had sex with Ruth the minute you had the opportunity to do so, but you're a one woman man. And I'm sorry, like when I hear a man say one woman man, it's a little bit of a trigger because that's the same. Listen, I'm going to say this one experience. I love my boyfriend very much. He's my world. But the same shit he said to me when we started dating, or we started talking, I should say, was he would say that to me. I'm a one woman man, and he wasn't. Let's just put it that way. He is now, but he wasn't then. And it's like, now you're full of shit because you don't need to say you're a one woman man. It's implied. So the fact that you have to fucking say, I'm a one woman man, you're not. You're not a one woman man. But anyways, he says that shit. And he's like, I thought he was gonna, or he thought that he would be able to like work on himself and everything. And he wanted Labo to, find out from him. He didn't want her to find out the way that she did from Ruth. And he kind of hoped like Isaac could have found it from Ruth. Like that's kind of how he wanted. He was never going to tell her. He was never going to fucking tell her. If he could have gotten away with it, he would never have fucking told her. Anyway, but he says, dear Ruth, thank you for everything and all this and like opening up and all that shit. Like he's just like, oh, I fucking hate him. Anyways, he says, I found out what I really needed in a relationship by being with Ruth. So, okay. He's like, no offense to Labo or anything. It's even worse when you kind of, because they haven't yet said where they're at yet. But when you do find out, it's just like, oh, you showed me everything that I want in a relationship, Ruth. No offense, Labo. Like, really? You could have left that part out. But anyways, yeah, he said no offense. And Labo asks, did you love both of us? Like, and just nothing but silence. He just goes silent. And again, you're better off just saying yes than being silent because it feels like that's a yes, but you want to hide it. It's just worse. But anyways, I wish I remembered her name, sorry. But although she's just like, hold that thought, but we never go back to it. We never go back to it. But anyways, we kind of switch a little bit to Ruth and she's like, do you have anything that you want to say to Nola or Lebo? And she's like, no, I don't have anything to say to him. I've said what I had to say to her. So like, but Lebo says like, I hold Nola accountable for everything that happened. His loyalties were to me. She didn't have anything to, any loyalties to me. I do think she needs to hold Ruth a little bit accountable, but anyways, she's like, I don't hold her accountable. So she don't really expecting, she doesn't need anything from Ruth, I think is what she's basically trying to say. But then the question is brought up. So what happened when you left? So apparently this is what happened, y'all. Prepare yourself. She broke up with him when they left and it was over, and a month or so goes by and he wiggles his way back into her life like most men fucking do. And what does she do? She takes him back. They are currently together. And it was in this moment that I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, shame on him if he fools you once, but shame on you if you allow him to fool you twice. And again, I'm coming from a place that I know exactly what she's kind of going through here, but the difference is I held my boyfriend accountable for everything. And it was all put out there. If he did not improve in the things that he needed to improve on and be the man that I needed him to be, we would not be together today. There's no way. And Nola's the kind of person who has not yet really held himself accountable for not only Ruth, but anything else that happened prior, for anything that's happened since. He has never held himself accountable, thinks he's done no fucking wrong, and that is the biggest problem. Why are you with him? There's been no improvement. And yeah, there's Isaac, he laughs Because Nola says, I know that we're happy. And Isaac laughs in response, and Nola's like, why are you laughing? Like, why are you laughing at that? And Isaac says, I know she's not happy. I know she's not. And he's like, how would you know that? Well, Labo says, well, I do talk to Isaac a lot. We're actually really close. And I have actually said to him that I am not happy. Ooh. And Nola's like, oh. Noah's surprised because he's like, it kind of sucks to hear that he knows more about what's going on in my relationship than I do. Yeah, because that's exactly what happens. Like, I'm not saying that she has feelings for Isaac, and I'm not saying he has feelings for her. I don't think that's that. I think they are strictly platonic, and she has built something with him that can be forever treasured. And I think, was it him, Nola, who said, oh no, you can't talk to my girl? So I think like he knows this, but whatever. And he knows. I think anyone knows. If you go to a next man to talk about your relationship issues, it's gone to shits. It really has. I have never once talked to other men about my relationship, to shit talk the issues in my relationship or potentially how I'm feeling. If I talk to you about how I'm feeling, chances are I've talked to my man about how I'm feeling or what I need or whatever, because he's the one that can fix the issues, right? Or he's the one that can address the issues or whatever, right? Or he's a person I can confide in, because yes, he's my best friend, so I trust him. But when you start and you lose that trust, man, you're not the one that I'm going to go to. So, damn. So he feels betrayed that she told Isaac and not him. And she feels like they have kind of like, there are many different personalities where he's concerned. And she says that marriage for her, even though she issued the ultimatum, is off the table for her. And really and truly, I don't think it's ever going to be back on the table. She doesn't feel like she is in love with him anymore. And you're starting to lean in. You're like, what? You're literally telling him for the world to see that I'm just not that in love with you anymore. And you're just like, oh shit. So she says like she's not in love with him anymore. So she's like, so because of that, I'm breaking up with you. And you're like, oh, see, this is the shit I love. I want to see people break up. But I think like this, I don't want to see people breaking up, but I like seeing whatever. So this is why I watch shows like this, okay? Because you don't get this on like 90 Day. You don't get people, well, we had divorces, but that's not the same thing. They're already broken up. But it's just like this was brutal, and I fucking loved it. I didn't know Labo had it in her, because she's like, here's the thing. She broke up with him on a fucking television show to stick it to him. She literally is like, you fucked Ruth on television, so I'm gonna break up with your ass on television. I'm gonna embarrass you. I don't give a shit. She didn't give a shit. It was fucking great. Even though she's like, I didn't mean to do this like on purpose or anything. Like, I wasn't trying to hurt him or anything. It's girl, you were. Own it. Own it. Cause I would. Oh, this was fucking great. This was fucking great. When she broke up with her, she's like, I'm breaking up with you. I'm like, oh, this is fucking, this. She waited for this moment. She waited a year for this moment. This is so good. So, yeah, so she does that. And he says, he says it's you, you're ready for this moment. And he gets up and he walks off because he's embarrassed. His big manly ego is so bruised. But Genesis goes after him, and he kind of like says, I feel this how, doing as it hurts or whatever, like it hurts now, but like you'll be fine. And he's giving some pep talk, and he's good. And he says like, you need to work on yourself. he says it takes getting hurt to kind of move that along, you know? And that way you can kind of work on yourself. But he's never going to be able to work on himself because this is the kind of person, I don't know if he's a narcissist. I don't know enough, but he definitely comes across as the kind of person who thinks, I didn't do anything wrong. He doesn't think he did anything wrong. I mean, fuck, Ruth doesn't think that she did anything wrong. So, you know, whatever. But they come back on and he tells Labo, I know that I hurt you, but I thought we were good. And she feels that he's putting on an act, that his tears aren't real. She doesn't believe a fucking word that's coming out of this man's mouth. Like, she's done. She's over it. And she says, I feel bad about how things were with Aiden. She said, I was so focused on Nola that, like, I wasn't focused on the trial of marriage, and he kind of did both of them a disservice. But Isaac, listen, when she said, I'm breaking up with you, Isaac went from ear to fucking ear. He was real happy platonically, and he was real happy. And he's like, I feel happy she finally did this. Then Nola, because, and this is actually brought up, but Nola says, so is she the girl that you're talking to? Because you say you're talking to somebody, she just broke up with me. Y'all are talking behind my back, so is it her? And Isaac says it's really funny because you're searching for an answer when she already provided it to you. The answer for her breaking up with you isn't because she wants to be with somebody else. Why does it have to be this or that? He's like, she's breaking up with you because you're not enough. She's breaking up with you because she's unhappy in the relationship. Why can't that be enough? Because this is the kind of person that says there's no way in hell that this person wouldn't want to be with me unless there's somebody else. He can't even have a girl break up with him because she's just simply unhappy. But it doesn't fit the narrative. This fucking guy's an asshole. Anyways, let's move on though to Genesis and Tappy. So, who is not wearing her ring apparently? They did put the engagement on pause to focus on fixing the things that they need to do in their marriage, and they also have to deal with paying her family first too as well. So there's that too. There's certain traditions that need to have been followed, and they kind of put the horse in front of the cradle. Oh, the cradle, cart. I'm fine. So then we move on to Caesar and Linda Lay, and marriage still makes her nervous, but nonetheless, she is happy. And she said there's no date for marriage yet. They're still taking their time. Families are involved, so maybe there's also a bride price with this as well. We don't know. But before the end of the year, they're kind of thinking that they can finally do this thing. So they said, like, how did you feel about, like, Kenya and kind of the things that she said to you, Caesar? And it says that she should never have gone over to Kenya's place, despite, like, Nakatsu basically saying, let's do this thing. And says, like, but Kenya says, listen, a lot was going on. You know, a lot happened before and after. But that is no excuse. I should have never body shamed her, and I apologize for that. And, you know what? I believe her. I believe she definitely is sorry. I think she's probably gone through a lot of transformation in a year. We'll get to it. Before we do, Aiden and Courtney are next. Aiden got a job, y'all, so he's working full time. They're still engaged. They're going to be fine. Let's move on. So Kenya and Nakatu, they're the last couple we're talking about. So he said he has no regrets with respect to giving her the promise ring. He says marriage they weren't ready for it. He says that they did go to therapy afterward. They're still, spoiler alert, still together. They did go to therapy, kind of fix the things. And Kenya says that how she was on the show is not a true reflection of who she is. I really hope so. And this is kind of where we kind of hear from Nakatsu, because I said we are going to kind of hear from him and why I think he never once thought that it was going to be as of volatile as it was between her and Cisa when he left her there, because he says, I have never seen her like this before. He's like, this was completely a different person. So I think this kind of was an indication that there was a lot of jealousy going on that I think she couldn't really handle. And I get it. Listen, I would be acting a fool too, because I am very territorial of what is mine, and I don't want to share him, which is why I'll never be on an experiment like this. So I totally understand that, but it's still not an excuse for how she acted. But as long as she's owning her shit, that's kind of all that matters to me. But he tells her, you know, you're not perfect, but you are amazing. And so, yeah, like I mentioned, they get back together on the condition that they do go to therapy, which we know they did. And, you know, they're working on the relationship. They're doing good. You know, they were working on making a baby who's now 3 months old. So she ended up getting pregnant. They had the baby. They had a son. He is definitely seems to have changed both of their worlds. She says that, like, for her, the main thing, like, marriage, yes, marriage is whatever, but she says, like, the main thing for me was that I wanted to be a mom. I wanted my baby. Now that I have my baby, fuck marriage, I don't care. That's kind of me. Like, I mean, I've been married before, but whatever. It's kind of me where it's kind of like, yeah, marriage is great. I definitely would say yes if he were to ask me. But the main thing for me is I want my kid. We can do marriage later. But like, yeah, like I'm all of, I get her. So she's happy. I think becoming a mother has probably changed her outlook on things and probably calmed her down a lot. But otherwise, like, they're doing good. She said she does realize it's probably like her wanting to have a kid is probably the reason why she put that pressure on. And yeah, so they're doing good. They're doing good, and that's all you can kind of ask for. But that's basically it for the episode, and that's it for the reunion. Final thoughts. I really enjoyed this season. It's kind of nice to see like a straight version of this, but you know, a South African straight version of this do really well in comparison to the original version of this. So I really much enjoyed this. Give me more. This was really good. And yeah, I know Queer Love is coming soon. We did talk about it in another episode, so that's coming soon. So we will definitely cover that when that comes out. But ultimately, I enjoyed it. The drama was great. Yeah, that's basically it. So yes, we'll move on now to a full steam ahead with Perfect Match and get that one over and finished. But otherwise, that is it for this episode of the Ultimatum. Again, thank you for your patience through this. But yeah, that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including, you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realitytimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.